Night changes the way the mind behaves. The room gets quiet, the lights go dim, and suddenly thoughts that stayed polite all day begin to speak. Slowly, relentlessly. If you overthink at night, you know this moment well. The body is tired, but the mind refuses to rest. It starts replaying conversations, rewriting decisions, imagining futures that haven't happened, and pasts that won't change. And in that silence, it feels like your thoughts are louder than the world ever was. Overthinking at night isn't about drama. It isn't about weakness. It's about what happens when the distractions disappear. During the day, life keeps you moving. Responsibilities, noise, people, screens. But at night, none of that stands between you and yourself. The mind finally has space, and it fills that space with everything it's been holding back. People who overthink at night are often the ones who think deeply during the day, too. They notice things others don't. Tone shifts, small changes in behavior, unspoken tension. They reflect, analyze, and internalize. Their mind doesn't just experience life, it processes it. And when night arrives, processing turns into looping. Psychologically, this happens because the brain associates nighttime with safety. There is no immediate demand, no performance required. The nervous system loosens its grip just enough for suppressed thoughts to surface, especially unresolved ones. The mind isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to complete unfinished emotional business. The problem is, it doesn't know when to stop. Overthinkers often develop this habit early, sometimes in homes where emotional unpredictability existed, sometimes in environments where being alert meant being safe. When you learn that missing details leads to consequences, the mind adapts by scanning everything. Over time, that scanning becomes automatic, even in bed, even in the dark, even when nothing is actually happening. There is also a strong link between nighttime overthinking and emotional responsibility. Many overthinkers grew up being the emotional stabilizer, the one who understood others, the one who adjusted, the one who thought ahead. Their mind learned that thinking more meant preventing pain. So now, when the world sleeps, their mind stays awake, still trying to protect. But protection slowly turns into exhaustion. At night, emotions don't arrive gently. They come in fragments. Regret shows up disguised as curiosity. Anxiety pretends to be planning. Loneliness dresses itself as reflection. You tell yourself you're just thinking things through, but beneath that, there's often a quiet ache, a feeling that something is unresolved, something was never fully expressed, something still needs understanding. Overthinkers at night often feel lonely in a very specific way, not the kind that comes from being alone, but the kind that comes from feeling unseen, from having a rich inner world that rarely finds a safe place to land. During the day, you may function well. You may be composed, thoughtful, reliable. But at night, when there's no audience, you finally feel the weight of everything you've been carrying internally. Disappointment lives here too. Not always about others, often about yourself. Things you said too late, things you didn't say at all, opportunities you analyzed until they passed you by. The mind replays moments not to torture you, but because it believes understanding them deeply enough might prevent future regret. It's a painful form of hope. There's also self-protection hiding beneath the overthinking. If you imagine every possible outcome, maybe none of them can hurt you. If you prepare for every emotional scenario, maybe surprise won't break you. The mind becomes a shield. But shields get heavy when you never put them down. One of the hardest parts of nighttime overthinking is the inner conflict it creates. You want rest, but your mind wants resolution. You want peace, but your thoughts want clarity. And somewhere between those two desires, sleep becomes a battleground. You tell yourself to stop thinking, and then criticize yourself for not being able to. This is where many overthinkers turn inward with harshness. They label themselves as broken, anxious, or weak, but the truth is quieter than that. Overthinking is not a flaw, it's an adaptation that stayed too long. It once helped you survive emotionally. Now it just hasn't learned that you're safe enough to rest. There are silent realizations that come to overthinkers late at night. Moments when you notice how much of your energy goes into managing possibilities instead of living experiences. When you realize that understanding everything hasn't actually protected you from pain, it's only delayed it. These realizations don't arrive with answers. They arrive with stillness, with a subtle sadness, and sometimes with relief. Awareness begins here, not with forcing the mind to shut up, but with listening differently. Overthinking doesn't need suppression, it needs reassurance. The mind keeps talking because it doesn't feel heard. When you acknowledge the emotion beneath a thought, the volume often lowers on its own. Emotionally mature growth doesn't mean you stop thinking deeply.
It means you stop believing every thought deserves your attention at midnight. You learn to separate reflection from rumination. Reflection moves forward, rumination circles, and at night, circles feel endless. Growth looks like allowing some questions to remain unanswered until morning. It looks like trusting that not everything needs immediate resolution. It's understanding that rest is not avoidance, it's regulation. The brain integrates experiences during sleep.
Ironically, the clarity you're searching for often arrives when you finally let go. For many overthinkers, emotional maturity also means learning to feel without fixing, to sit with discomfort without dissecting it, to allow sadness, uncertainty, or longing to exist without explanation. This is difficult for minds trained to solve, but it's also freeing. Nighttime overthinking slowly changes when safety is built internally.
When you begin responding to your own thoughts with compassion instead of urgency, when the inner voice softens, when you stop demanding answers from yourself in the dark, over time, the mind learns that it doesn't need to stay on guard all night. And one night, maybe not soon, but eventually, you'll notice the quiet feels different. Not empty, not heavy, just calm. Thoughts may still come, but they won't grab you by the chest. They'll pass, like clouds you don't have to follow.
People who overthink at night aren't broken thinkers. They're deep ones, sensitive ones, minds that learn to care intensely. The work isn't to become less thoughtful, it's to become more gentle with the thoughts that appear when the world goes silent. And when sleep finally comes, it won't be because you forced it. It will be because your mind finally believed it was allowed to rest.